if you're not one of David Moyes' chosen players, not a regular participant in the first team, and then you get called upon by David Moyes to try and help the team out, it seems to be the case that they sort of seem to wither on the vine, these players. If you're a reserve at West Ham or a bench player, you're sort of screwed. You're not in that elite club. Well, that's what I think anyway. And it's a subject that myself and Gio sort of managed to work our way onto during our player ratings video. And we're going to play you the clip. It's a little bit ranty, truth be known. We're going to play you the clip from that now. It's from our player rating series, which we do after every single game. We rate and rank off every single West Ham player and give them a score. The link to join Patreon is in the description below. Basically, it's patreon.com/HammersChat. 3 different tiers, loads of different videos, not just player ratings. I'm not going to spend loads of time. I guess you get the idea by now. So I'm just going to play you the clip from it. Before I'd sort of play the clip, though, I just want to point out that before we went on this rant, I had spent a lot of time, and so had Gio, criticising the players individually. I don't think all of this for Bristol City is on David Moyes. I think whilst ultimately people would argue the manager is responsible for the lethargy of the players and the fact that we didn't scrap and that we were bullied, I do believe in a little bit of personal accountability. I do believe that there are individual players who probably should have stood up and been counted. But just please be aware that we've already discussed them on an individual level before we go on and to discuss David Moyes and his role in the proceedings of what was a pretty limp effort at trying to get through the FA Cup third round. I can sometimes not accept, but I understand what manager we've got. If we don't attack much, okay, well that's David Moyes. I understand we're probably not going to have lion's share of possession against teams. That he's going to be cautious. We're probably going to have one less attacker than we should have. There's certain things I guess I've accepted, even if I don't like. However, that comes with a trade-off, which is okay. If we're not going to be pretty, then we better do ugly very well. And we didn't even do that. And that bit is on the manager. Okay, if you're not doing the attacking stuff, and if what you're going to do is you're going to set up a team that's going to be good defensively and they're going to be battlers. His Everton team, the moniker for his Everton team were the Dogs of War. The Dogs of War. Go and look it up. Everton, Dogs of War. Where was the war? Where was the dog? It was pussycats. And it's just not good enough. Honestly, it was
pussycats, because if we were, you'd have seen some aggression.
Someone would be kicking them, yeah, absolutely.
It's involved then.
It's not a Bristol City team.
Yeah, you suddenly see some leadership from the captain then. Hey, I've got this one sorted.
That spiked his interest. Contradiction of it. The contradiction. The team, his starting lineup suggested he wanted to get through. That's the whole thing, suggested he wanted to get through. But almost none of what he did indicated thereafter that he knew how to get through to the next round. He ended up in this halfway house, this no man's land. That's no, actually, it's not no good for anyone. It's great for Bristol City. They get another payday, and it might even get on the box, which means they might get a little bit more money. Well done, them. The composition of the squad is as much to blame here as anything else. I'm quite certain of that. Goes and sells Tilo Kehrer, and then we're left with this defensive stuff. He has to sell Tilo Kehrer because he's not been using Tilo Kehrer. Where if he only had to use him a little bit more, and we might not have found ourselves in this situation. There's so many of them, but I'd just be repeating myself on Benrahma and Cornet, and he's basically renders. It's like I just said with Cornet, and like with Fornals, he renders his substitutes unusable. So when you do have to call on them, they're crap, generally crap, and they've lost all effort, they've lost all spirit, and they can't impact the game. And he's left himself depreciated in central midfield. And then you have that bench, all right? Now look, I have to be honest. When it got as attritional as that, there were times in that game I thought maybe this isn't the game for youngsters. It looked a bit feisty, okay? But to have none on the bench, I'm not talking about with Barma here. I don't, because he's been training with the first team squad for a while now. To have none on there, to identify that you're crap in wide areas, that can't have been and crap in midfield. That can't have been a surprise. What he saw from Cornet, David Moyes, that must be why he's not playing. Now he wasn't always like that, Cornet, and the reason he's become that is because of David Moyes. But David Moyes must have known in training that's the Cornet you're getting now. His spirit's been knocked out of him. He's lost. He's gone. I think, my theory, just a theory, back at Pola, he got motivated then. I've got the assist. I've come on. I've looked good. If I can get back in the team now, I can go and play in the African Cup of Nations in my home country. It'd be really proud of my family, blah, 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 blah. I think after that, him not getting a chance, he then... I think he's devastated that he didn't get an opportunity to play in the one tournament he probably growing up on the Ivory Coast that he probably spent his childhood dreaming that the African Cup of Nations would come to the Ivory Coast. He might get a chance to play there. I think it's killed him. I didn't even think he didn't even try and take the person on. He didn't even look quick. He looked devoid of spirit. This is too common for my liking. And as I say, it's really important that the players must get the blame for their part in this. But this sucking the life and the spirit out of footballers happens far too often on David Moyes' watch, far too frequently. At what point do you not stick a wide player on from the youth team? Are you so confident, and you're talking about giving the players all these days off, you're so confident you're going to get through, you're not going to put a wide player on just in case who can impact the game? You're so cocky that you're going to beat them. And I don't know. Or you're just so reliant. And like, as I say, I think if Paqueta had remained on the pitch, we win. Are you so reliant and so confident that is going to happen? Bearing in mind he's just coming back from injury, that all your eggs in one basket on there. He's so reliant on one or two attackers getting us to win, and it's unacceptable. And I tell you what, that siege that came upon us in the second half, the first half they bullied us, the second half they didn't bully us, so they'd softened us up already. Then they had a pop. They're going to have a go now. And they were so upon us at that point, Gio, that we needed an attack to relieve the pressure. But it's wave after wave after wave. Bristol City, mate. Bristol City. Give us something. Give us an attacking outlet. We had no attacking outlet. He could have done any number of things, be it people on the bench, be it pushing Emerson further up, who could maybe carry the ball a little bit, maybe putting Fornals, who wasn't having a bad game, into the middle and taking Souček off, or doing any number of things that might have improved the team. And he was completely incapable of doing any of them. I've got to give him a rating, haven't I? I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10.
I'm going to give him a 3, but only because a lot of those players did not perform well enough. And I find it difficult to lay it all at the manager when the players on the pitch didn't do well enough. So it's a tricky one. However, this man is full of contradictions, and it pisses me right off, actually. After the Brighton game, he said, basically, we can't use Maxwel Cornet. He's injured. We can't use him. Yet he was able to use him yesterday. Well, which is it then? He's suddenly okay after a couple of 5 days later. He's suddenly okay now, is he? No, he was okay for Brighton. You just didn't want to use him. The substitute, the fringe players, he says they must step up. He keeps saying it. They need to take their opportunity. Well, actually, against Brighton, the fringe player inside Benrahma started to get into the game. He took him off. Fornals yesterday was looking okay. You took him off. How are they supposed to get confident? How are they supposed to take their opportunity when you keep denying them all of it? They start slow as they would. It's like a player. If Paqueta comes back from injury and he begins slowly in a couple of games, if Antonio started yesterday, he was poor for the first hour. You have to put up with that because he's got no match sharpness. He's struggling. You have to put up with it. Just like when you bring a player in from the cold that hasn't got that form behind them, you have to allow them to almost build up to it during the game. That's the only way they're going to get confident, or they get a little bit of luck. So, say Fornals scored that goal in the first half, you might have seen a pretty confident Fornals pretty quickly, but only because something significant has happened in the game. Failing a big moment, you have to allow them to slowly grow into the game. And it's almost like they get to the point where they are in the game. It's like, that's enough for you. Off you come now, and I'll reset you. And then next week, I'll put you on for 10 minutes and complain that the Finnish players aren't stepping up. Well, actually, the Finnish players arguably did step up yesterday. It's your seasoned ones, and Ward-Prowse and Thomas Souček, that weren't doing it, but yet they remained on the pitch. You look at the bench, and he'll point to the Tuesday, the under-21s playing Tuesday, as a get-out-of-jail card as to why he didn't have youngsters on there. He will use that as an excuse. But he chose to put Ogbonna on there, knowing that if you need to bring on Ogbonna, something's happened to one of your two centre-backs. So there's a 50-50 chance you're now going to have a partnership of Zuma and Ogbonna. Nobody wants to see that. I don't even think Zuma and Ogbonna want to see that. But he puts himself in the position where that's his only centre-back there to bring on. And that centre-back partnership was horrific. You see that in the Premier League, we will get ripped apart. It doesn't matter who we play. We will get ripped apart. Play Sheffield United next. Cameron Archer and McAtee, they will love playing against Ollie McBurney. I think, hello, I'll have Zuma physically. Archer, you get up against Ogbonna with the speed and you'll rinse him. I'll rinse Zuma in there. You rinse him on the deck. We've got this. And that's Sheffield United. Any Premier League team will be licking their lips at that centre-back pairing. And he was just throwing on players for the sake of it. He brought in Ben Johnson for Soufal. I thought, well, what's this going to do? What's this really going to do? We're trying to win the game, and you're changing the right back. And it's not like we're Liverpool bringing on Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's capable of whipping in that ball. We're bringing on a guy who's not as good as the guys replacing going forward. So what was realistically expected to happen? When I saw Conor Coventry on the bench, I thought, what's the point? Like, you might as well just have nobody on the bench because he's never going to come on. What sort of circumstances he's never going to come on the pitch?
No, never.
We went to Liverpool and through the cup game. Didn't want it. For whatever reason. In the quarter-final, he put out a weakened side. Played Bristol City at home in the third round of the FA Cup, and he put out the first 11. Hang on a minute, this completely contradicts what you've just done at Anfield. Why not take that game seriously? And this is the game that you chuck a couple of youngsters in, and we probably would have got beat at Anfield anyway, but at least have a go. Yesterday, we put out what is his strongest available 11 to him, and we've now got another game, which is the reason we gave up that Liverpool one is because of fixture congestion. Well, we've now got fixture congestion because of what he did yesterday. It is just, the guy's full of, like, he says this but does something completely different, and then he complains about when that happens. Although he highlights problems, does nothing about it, and complains when the problem occurs.
You're right. An absolute contradiction of everything, and then detachment when that happens. Yeah. Oh, look at that thing's happened there.
But the worst thing is he sees it coming.
Yeah.
He can actually, I say, be proactive. He foresees that an issue and says this is going to occur. Then it does occur, and he goes, "Oh, that happened." And well, yeah, you told us it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. I go back to October 2021, I think it was, 22 it might have been. When the season started, when Rice was more advanced with Souček, and Souček was playing poorly, and he said, "Oh, I think it's because they've switched roles." But he continued to do the same thing, and he would keep on saying, "I think it's because they switched roles." Then this season, Souček started well, and he basically said, "Well, I think it's because Rice has gone." You told us 2 years ago that was the problem with Souček, but you did nothing about it. You continued with the issue, knowing that Rice was causing Souček a problem. You continued with it. Now it's switched back only because we sold Declan Rice. He almost stood there like, I worked it out. I worked out, lads. It was Rice. Yeah, we know it was. You knew it was. You just chose to do nothing about it. And the guy's full of contradiction. Yesterday, I was just watching it. I was just thinking, this subs were, in fact, the subs weren't predictable because Mubama came on instead of Ings when Cornet actually got onto the pitch. But although they weren't predictable, the impact was predictable. And it was just like, it wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't enjoyable. It was, like I said, I feel a bit guilty for thinking this, but with 5-10 minutes to go, I was genuinely questioning if it would be better if Bristol City scored.
Oh, you wouldn't be the only one. You would not have been the only one.
I was genuinely sitting there thinking it might actually be better if we go out, but we don't have this extra game. We go out, and I'll be pissed off, but I'll get over it. When Sheffield United comes around, we'll get over it. We'll have a 2-week break. We'll benefit from it. Well, the winter break, which is meant to benefit everybody, we've just lost our advantage. It's gone now. And I know Thomas Frank's moaning about it. I've got no sympathy for him, mate. You play 38 league games a season, that's it, because you're crap in the cups. So, in fact, you've got an additional FA Cup game. I'm not bothered about Brentford, but we do actually have fixture. We've played the most games with Liverpool and Man City. Well, Man City and Liverpool both won. So by the time
we're going to win something, we'll be the best at something. We are now. We're not joint having the most games. We are
the most. Now that will change because Liverpool have the Carabao Cup semi-final, so they have 2 more games because they beat us. But until then, we will have played the most games this season in the Premier League.
Hopefully we can draw against Bristol City again and get a replay.
Yeah, a replay.
Never mind a Club World Cup for Man City. Oh, no.
Well, this is one of the sad things, and this is where Premier League arrogance kicks in, but I'm not sorry. I look forward to the cup draws tonight. Usually, but hey, I want that one or that one or that one. I can't even do that tonight because we're not even in it. It's like we're there, but there's a slash. There's West Ham / Bristol City. That's not the same, is it?
And what evidence have you seen, bearing in mind we played them at home, that we can beat them away?
None. I actually think we're going to get knocked out. I do. It depends on the availability of Mavropanos, Paqueta, and Bowen, of course. But unless all 3 are available, I'm not sure. I don't feel confident. No. I'm really nervous to go play that game, actually, because they had a game plan and it worked. So they know how to get at us. We had a game plan. It didn't work, and then we didn't have a game plan. There's one manager has an advantage next week, and it's our former under-23s one. It's not our bloody manager. Anyway, anything else you'd like to add?
No, not really, mate. I don't think so. No, but I mean, sorry. The one thing you did say about the end that you were wondering if it would be better if we went out. I think half of our problem, and probably just reiterate the point, because there's a lot of players have got very, very bad marks here. The players played their part, and I did wonder, there was so much lack of fight from so many of them. Wondered if some of them were thinking that, well, maybe it's better if we don't go through. It's hard to shift. I don't think. Well, as I say, with the exception of, just to remind me, with the exception of Paqueta, Bowen, a little bit from Fornals, Alvarez, maybe. There's not too many come out with credit from that game. It has to be said, players or manager.